4 exercises that I see people doing all the time that aren't really necessarily bad per se, but there's just better alternatives. Hey, I'm Mark McKilley with Live Anabolic, and today I want to talk about some exercises that I see people still doing at the gym, and of course I see people doing them at home because they videotape and put it on Facebook and some other things. But I don't know if they're really bad exercises, but there's just more effective ways to accomplish the same goal. And so I just kind of picked 4, okay? 4 off the top of my head that I thought, really there's an easy way to change the exercise, hit the same muscle group, and really accomplish way more in the same amount of time with the same amount of effort, get better results. Why not? The first one is the dreaded plank. And I mean the static plank, where you're just sitting there on your elbows or on your hands, all right, in like the push-up position and just counting. I hate those. I like doing exercises where you got to do reps. I hate kind of time-based stuff. It's just not fun. I mean, planks are good for you, but instead of doing planks for your core, try doing flutter kicks and or scissor kicks. It's just more fun, all right? And if it's more fun, you're more likely to do it. And then secondly, you can count. You can count the number of flutter kicks and the number of scissor kicks you're doing. And for me, at least, that's just way more intellectually stimulating and just not such a pain in the ass. Just flexing your core and just holding it like this for 45 seconds or a minute. So try that instead. All right, so exercise number 2 that I would recommend you guys stop doing if you're doing it, and that is a barbell curl. All right, so when you're dealing with a straight bar, it forces your wrist all the way over. I mean, this is my natural position, kind of right here, all right? For me to rotate my hands, pronate my hands so that I'm holding a straight bar, puts a lot of stress on my wrist. Now, maybe when you're younger, it didn't bother you, but man, it really bothers me. So I typically avoid using the barbell for anything, for your chest or anything. So instead of doing barbell curls, guys, and the other thing that's wrong with it is it makes it real easy to cheat. I see these guys lifting too much weight and they're just using their body like this. So instead of doing that for your biceps, do concentration curls. Wow, so much better. You can focus on one bicep at a time. Just look at that arm and just envision that muscle contracting. And then if you're doing it with the correct form, basically it's impossible to cheat. So concentration curls, I think, are way better than barbell curls. All right, the third exercise I see guys doing at the gym that I, kind of disagree with, and it's not bad, it does work, but why not use a more effective exercise for the same amount of time and effort? All right, and that is the flat barbell bench press. Remember, I'm not a big fan of barbells. Everybody used to do that exclusively for their chest, 30, 40 years ago when I was starting. Nowadays, the professionals rarely do it. You'll see them doing barbell bench press on the Smith machine because it's a safety feature, the Smith machine, and you can only do a barbell on that. But I recommend you get away from the barbell bench press and instead do dumbbell incline presses, all right? I think those are way more effective. You get a better, you don't get a better stretch necessarily, but you get a better range of motion because when you bring the dumbbells to the top, see how your hands are together? If you're holding the barbell, when you push up, your hands are way out here. All right, they're stuck in that position. So try the incline dumbbell bench press or even a machine press, because these machines are designed so that your hands start out real wide. That gives you a great stretch. You really want a big stretch in your muscles. And then as you press on the machine, you'll notice that your hands, the handles come together. The machines are just designed such that the handles have to come together. You can't keep them out here. So either one of those are much better alternatives to the flat barbell bench press. And then the fourth and last exercise that I'm going to talk about today would be a squat, like a back squat, where you put the barbell on your shoulders, and do a traditional squat. And It's probably a great all-around exercise for your lower body, yes, but it's typically better for younger guys. I guarantee you everybody watching this video right now is over the age of 40, and probably 90% of you guys watching are over the age of 50. And so the problem is, even if you're using good form, every single ounce of that weight up here gets transferred through your spinal column into your hips and then your legs. And that's just a lot of stress that most guys our age just don't want to deal with. And so when we can do something different and get the same results with less, potential injury with our lower back, that's a smart way to go. And I'm going to say try goblet squats, guys. You'll be holding a single dumbbell right in front of you here, and for some reason the way the weight is distributed, it doesn't feel nearly as heavy on your lower back. You can get a great range of motion when you're doing goblet squats. For you guys that can still do it where your knees, are still flexible, go down as deep as you can. There's lots of studies that talk about range of motion. The more range of motion, the better for building muscle. And then, of course, when the muscle's at its most stretched point, that's where the most anabolic response occurs, when it's fully stretched. And that means at the bottom of the squat is the most important part of the full range of motion. So there you go, guys. 4 exercises that I see people doing all the time that aren't really necessarily bad per se, but there's just better alternatives. All right, simple as that. Why not get more bang for your buck? And then finally, guys, remember, you got to stick with it and never give up on yourself.